little earlier.
Hello there, you're with CNN News 18. I'm Maha Siddiqui. Less than a week after the Pegasus snooping scandal rocked Parliament, the matter was back in the Supreme Court today. The apex court of the country has now issued a notice to the centre on a clutch of petitions before it, seeking an independent probe inquiry into the matter, which is overseen by the court itself. The matter will now be heard 10 days later, and the court has also told the centre that it's not going to seek any information that could put national security in jeopardy. Can an independent probe monitored by the court be the only way out in this entire snooping saga, this controversy? Can it bring out the truth ultimately? That is the big question that we're seeking answers to in this show this evening. Joining me on the show, Congress spokesperson Adil Singh Boparai, BJP spokesperson Shaina NC, NS Napinai, advocate of the Supreme Court, Kanish Kaur, founder of India Future Foundation, also a cyber security expert and an expert on cyber laws. But before the debate, let's quickly check the major points that were made in the court today. What was it that the centre told the Supreme Court, to be specific? First of all, the centre said that it has nothing to hide on the issue of the Pegasus issue. In fact, that is why it also said that the affidavit it has submitted already is sufficient. There is nothing more to add, really. It's ready to set up a probe by a neutral expert panel. This is also something that the centre has told the court today. Divulging information in additional affidavit involves aspect of national security. This is what was pointed out by the centre today, after which the court has told the centre that no such points will be brought in the court which can jeopardize national security. This is the aspect that the centre has brought in today of national security, of not divulging whether or not NSO's Pegasus spyware has been used, because this, according to the centre, can give a handle to those who want to utilize it against the country. The government has made its stand clear in the affidavit filed on Monday. So the government said that there is nothing more to add. The affidavit submitted by it is already sufficient. Pegasus issue can't be a matter of public debate. Another argument coming out of the same argument of national security, that this issue cannot be a matter of a public debate. This is what the centre has told the Supreme Court. Let's bring in all our guests now. Shaina NC, I want to first come to you. The Solicitor General said in court today that it can't disclose whether or not Pegasus has been used, because terrorists can use that information. That information can be used against the country. So how is it that in Parliament, the government and one department of the government, the Ministry of Defence, has already responded saying we are not using Pegasus spyware?
Supreme Court on Tuesday, when it got the notice from the central government in the batch of petitions seeking probe into Pegasus, the bench of the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Ramana, and Mr. Suryakant, and of course Anirudh Bose, said that the bench needs to deliberate further on how to proceed in the matter, and obviously in the hearing in the days to come. Now, I think we must understand that if the government is cooperating, when the matter is taken up for hearing on Tuesday, the central government has told the Supreme Court that we are willing to give details regarding Pegasus, whether there are certain expert committees, but to make sure that it is not public before the court, since it could have national security implications. Ashwini Vaishnav-ji, the minister concerned, our Home Minister Amit Shah-ji, the Honorable Prime Minister, and the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta have submitted that an expert committee can be in place and the report be put before the court. Now, if we can divulge into committee of
All
experts,
right, I'll interrupt you there. Shaina, I'll interrupt you there. Let's get a response from Adil. Let's get a response from Adil. Adil, will the opposition be willing to allow that expert panel that the centre is talking about here to look into this whole issue?
Maha, I'm about to say something which I don't say in my capacity as a spokesperson of the Congress party, but also as a citizen of this country. The pretext of national security or the cover or the guise of national security cannot be used as an all-weather excuse or a carte blanche to evade or circumvent accountability. We have a situation where a military-grade cyber weapon was used against judges of the Supreme Court, against your esteemed colleagues, against civil society activists, and this country. Now, there are two other countries called Israel and France which have ordered a probe. They have not done or said anything which would be prejudicial to their interests. They have not put this excuse forward that, well, if we constitute a probe, it will be prejudicial. So therefore, the government of India cannot run away from accountability. There is a simple and a pertinent question, which of course Shaina NC will not answer. And that question is, did government of India buy the Pegasus spyware or not? It is a very simple question.
All right.
Any person with an iota of
put that question to
propriety and
her.
objectivity can answer that.
We will put that question to her. All right. We'll put that question to her, but before that, I want to go across to NS Napinai. If the government is saying, or rather not clearly saying, that whether it has or has not used this spyware, in the affidavit, how do you read it? Does it imply that they have in fact acquired this spyware and are not disclosing information?
Well, any answer to that from my end would be speculative, because I neither am privy to this information personally or otherwise. But the crux of the issue really is this. One, was spyware used at all or not? But the legal aspects of it is, what is permissible in law? So when you look at the permissibility aspect, then the issue about when and how and in what manner spyware is used becomes irrelevant, because the law doesn't really permit use of spyware. So if you look at every stage of where I have given my inputs on this is, law says two grounds on which you can use it, which is under the Indian Telegraph Act and under Section 69 of the Information Technology Act. Both of these are with the help of the service providers, not with the help of spyware. And therefore, the issue here is, one, investigation or inquiry necessity, absolutely. Two, spyware used or not, that's a matter for inquiry. Three, if spyware were used, then no law is really going to protect anybody.
Okay. Kanish Kaur, I want to bring that point in with regards to the issue of national security that the government has also brought up in the court. Now, the Solicitor General said that if the government is disclosing in public that it is not using a particular interception software, terrorist organizations can take advantage of that information to change their communication settings. He said that such matters cannot be placed in an affidavit and be made a matter of quote-unquote public debate. That is exactly my question. If the government is not putting it in its affidavit, whether or not it used the spyware, how do we interpret the affidavit itself? How would a lawyer interpret it? How would a person who understands law interpret it?
The government is saying that they haven't used it. There is another aspect which comes into the picture, that there could be engaging third parties for doing this, because this is a highly technical job, right? Now, in the matter of national security, if you are using a third party for surveillance or for interception, that to an international organization, then it has a lot of questions coming forward too, right? And that is completely against the law. If the government is supposed to allow interception or access to computers or mobile devices, they can do it themselves. They cannot bring in third parties. So the government will have to answer it categorically, stating that if they are doing this, under what provisions of law are they doing it? Any kind of interception of this sort has to be approved by the cabinet secretary himself. So were those permissions taken by the government?
That's right.
Even if that were under national security requirements, what were the approvals, right? What was the need? That is an area that the government needs to
All
come
right.
out very
Just hold on,
clearly.
Kanishk. Kanishk, please hold on to your thoughts. We are getting some updates. We are getting news with regards to Afghanistan. The defense minister is at the moment in a meeting at the Prime Minister's office. This is with regards to the evolving situation in Afghanistan. India has evacuated its embassy staff only today. They've just about landed. With this, all the embassy staff is now back in the country. There are still some Indians who are in Afghanistan, despite the fact that several advisories were issued asking Indians to take the first flight, commercial flight back to the country. But considering that they are still over there, the government has made a commitment that they will bring them back as well. Let me go across to Payal Mehta for more details on this. Payal, bring us more information first of all on this meeting.
What we are given to understand by way of our sources, Maha, that currently the Raksha Mantri, which is of course the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and the Home Minister, both are there in the Prime Minister's residence. They are both meeting with the Prime Minister. We're still trying to, get a more of a confirmation with other ministers and essentially ministers who are part of the CCS like Jaishankar, Nirmala Sitharaman and the others. If they are still part of this meeting, we're still waiting for that confirmation. But it has to be a very, very crucial meeting because both the Raksha Mantri as well as the Home Minister, both of whom have a key role to play as far as India's safety and security is concerned. They are presently lodged in the Lok Kalyan Marg, Lok Kalyan residence of the Prime Minister, and currently are meeting him as well. Important developments have come to the fore. You've had an aircraft, by the Indian Air Force that has brought in more than 120 civilians from India, including the officials of the Afghan embassy, and that has happened after a lot of effort had to be put in. And India had committed that they would bring back all the people to safety as well. What are the steps that need to be taken in the wake of the developments that are coming to the fore, given the fact that the Taliban developments will have a huge impact on India and India's neighborhood as well? So that's something we're given to understand could be discussed. As of now, we don't really know the agenda, but obviously this would be on the top of the minds as far as the government of India is concerned.
And Payal, I'm assuming that since the defense minister is there in this meeting, the home minister is there in this meeting, the aspect of security will be foremost because India has been concerned about the fallout in India of a Taliban regime in Afghanistan, because we know that Taliban backs at least two terror outfits, LET and JEM, which directly attack India.
Yes, India has been waging a war against, these outfits that have constantly been bleeding India, through the terror attacks as well, and that is going to be of highest concern as far as the Indian establishment is concerned. Undoubtedly, India has to monitor on what's really happening in its neighborhood, especially vis-a-vis Afghanistan, and which is now taken over by Taliban, because, Taliban has a history of violence, has a way in which they really, are committed to a certain ideology in a certain, ruthless manner as well. And that is how India will have to really, look at the development, because there are certain political parties and political outfits within the realm of India who've spoken out and said that it is time that India should actually establish a dialogue with Taliban, given the fact that Taliban is now in control of Afghanistan. So what really happens in the coming day? How is India going to approach this entire thing? Obviously, the highest in the government taking a call on that, but more than anything else, trying to see how the situation really in the neighborhood is, and if any more flights need to be sent, and if any more Indians are stranded, what really needs to be done, because, obviously the ITBP is also part of the, crew that came back today as well. Are there more soldiers? What happens to the Indian soldiers like Shreya has been breaking, who are currently trailing in India, who are from Afghanistan? What happens to them? How do we go about this? All of these issues are going to be discussed.
All right, Payal, many thanks for joining us with those details. RP Singh of the BJP is also joining us now on the phone line. RP Singh, there are some Sikhs who are right now in one particular place in Kabul. The local Taliban leadership has gone and assured them of safety, but I understand the kind of fear that exists on the ground at the moment, many of them wanting to come back. What would your plea be to the government at this juncture on trying to get them back, considering commercial flights are not operating and the government is only hoping that the commercial flight operations smoothen out by tomorrow?
Who want to come to India, who are of Indian origin, should be taken care, and we'll appreciate government should not only take care of the citizens who are stuck here, but also people of Indian origin. And I'm hopeful government is working in that direction. Already flights have started coming in where the Indian citizens have been brought here. And in the next round, people who want to come here, the Sikhs or Hindus, they should be also taken care.
But RP Singh, the ground situation is such at the moment that commercial flights are not on, because we had seen yesterday the chaotic scenes at the Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport. Under these circumstances, yes, you are saying that people of Indian origin, the minority community in Afghanistan should also be brought back to the country. But, you know, is there any communication you all have been able to establish? Is there any word you're getting from them about how they feel currently being there?
My friends who are in touch with the Kabuli Sikhs, they are saying that right now they are safe. They are in touch with Taliban. They have been working there since 1996. These are set of people who didn't leave Kabul and Afghanistan even in those 5 years of 96 to 2001. So they are there, and then they say that we have opened a dialogue. But let's wait and watch, because this situation is very dynamic. I mean, we can't predict now how things will shape up tomorrow or day after or in coming days. But as I'm saying, government of India should take care of even people of Indian origin who want to come. And then government has already taken initiative on allowing the e-visas for all those who want to come.
Yes.
So how do they come here? That's another now the question now. And yes, you are saying the commercial flights might open tomorrow, or there are other set of people who are already working among the community to get the people here.
Okay, RP Singh, stay on with us. Brijesh Kalappa of the Congress Party is also joining us on the phone line. Brijesh Kalappa, do you think the manner in which India has dealt with the situation in Afghanistan, according to you, is satisfactory?
See, the first thing I would like to say is, as far as the pullout is concerned of the American troops, at a time when President Biden had announced that there was going to be a troop pullout, I think the Indian government should have acted at that time, should have acted with alacrity and tried to impress upon the Americans that it was necessary to retain the troops for some more time. Because you must remember that Afghanistan is our backyard. And something which is so insidious and dangerous, which is happening in Afghanistan, is going to have deep ramifications for our country, and particularly where the war against terror is concerned. So I think insofar as the troop pullout is concerned, at that time, I wish Prime Minister Modi had reached out to President Biden and tried to convey that these are the sentiments of India and these are the sentiments of the Indian people. Because one could see that the moment the troops pullout happened, then instantaneously, then these kind of consequences were bound to follow. And when these kind of consequences are today happening, today to sit with the defense minister and the NSA seems a trifle too late. But better late than never. But I think there should substantial ground could have been covered.
Brijesh Kalappa. All right, I'll interrupt you there, sir. I'll also introduce Majid Memon, who's also joining us on the phone line. But before that, Brijesh Kalappa, I want to come back to you, because the Indian government has been stressing over a long period of time, and every conversation with the United States since last year, they have been communicating that a troops withdrawal from Afghanistan will not augur well for the stability of this region. I think that message was sent to the US, but US was adamant on pulling out its troops. They said 20 years is more than enough. We will not stay there anymore. That is what Joe Biden has been underlining. What next for us, Brijesh Kalappa? Do you think India is left with any option now but to speak with the Taliban, to open a dialogue with Taliban, and ultimately to recognize them in some capacity?
See, insofar as the Indian position is concerned, for a mere joint secretary to tell the US government that no, we are not for troop pullout is something else. But for the head of state to pick up the phone or to reach out to to President Biden and tell him, I think would have made a world of difference. I'm not aware if Prime Minister Modi has spoken to President Biden, but I think it would have been due that the Prime Minister picked up the phone or even reached out to President Biden and told him that these are the sentiments of overwhelming sentiments in India. And I don't think President Biden could have disregarded something which was the opinion of 130 crore people. And I think at some level, the Prime Minister Modi ought to have done that, considering that he has always claimed to have an extraordinary relationship with the U.S. So I think Prime Minister Modi ought to have done something like that. But now to speak about, trying to protect people of Indian descent and to protect people of a certain communities is something which is the due of India, because India has always stood up for those people who have been oppressed in any part of the world.
Okay, all right. Brijesh Kalappa, stay on with us. Majid Memon, would you concur with what Brijesh Kalappa is saying? He believes that India should have laid more stress on the fact that this troop withdrawal, especially the manner in which it was being done in this hasty manner, would not have augured well for this region.
India has to play very cautiously. And as far as the diplomatic steps that is required to be taken for taking cognizance of the Taliban establishment, if they claim that they have captured the whole of Afghanistan and they have started ruling in that event also, I think the wisdom would be that we wait till the dust is settled. And of course, the whole world is going to consider the establishment of relationships with the new regime. That's
all right. Majid Memon, we are having a problem with your audio there. We'll fix that audio and I'll come back to you. Let me go back to R.P. Singh. He's still on the line with us. R.P. Singh, you just heard Brijesh Kalappa there. He said that maybe the top leadership should have picked up the phone and spoken to the leadership in America and stressed upon the fact that the manner in which the troop withdrawal was happening would inevitably have the fallout that we've seen now.
It's shocking that Brijesh Kalappa expects that Indian government can stress upon Americans to decide their foreign policy and their defense policy. And the Indian has already said what they have to say to the Indian diplomats have already taken care of what was to be said to the Americans. But we can't expect them to go by our diktat or go by our needs and requirements. One. Secondly, again, right now the emphasis is on how to ensure that every Indian who is there, he should be evacuated. One. People of Indian origin who want to come, they should be brought back. And I'm very sure Government of India is doing that, and already flights have started coming in. The Indian people in Indian Embassy and otherwise who are working there in various projects have started coming back. And I'm hopeful within the next day or so, even in the this dynamic situation where things are changing every hour, still we will be able to manage.
There is also another question now. There is also another question now before India, whether it should recognize the Taliban as a legitimate power or not, because countries like China, Russia have already done it. Pakistan, I'm leaving out because they had recognized them last time as well.
Maha, right now, basic concern and emphasis is on people who are there. How to go about dealing with Taliban can wait for another day or so. I mean, still Taliban has not declared themselves as the ruler, or it has not been acknowledged by various other world forums. So we have to wait for that. But before that, as I said, the basic concern right now is getting our people back, and that should be the concern for every Indian also. And Prime Minister Modi is taking care of it.
All right.
You're already playing.
Okay.
The flights have started coming in.
All right. Majid Memon is back with us on the line. Majid Memon, you were talking about the situation right now and what Brijesh Kalappa is saying, that India should have tried to tell the US that this hasty troop withdrawal is not going to augur well for the region.
No, see, what I was suggesting was, and I have already spoken earlier as well, when I was told that the Ministry of External Affairs has issued some instruction to prioritize the securing or rescuing Hindus and Sikhs from Afghanistan. Well, I don't agree with this. Every Indian national who is stranded in Afghanistan in this turmoil, where people are running helter and skelter to save their lives, needs to be immediately.
All right. A quick clarification there as well. There was a specific question asked to the spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs with regards to minorities in Afghanistan, to which he had responded that India has a responsibility towards them and will facilitate their return. Now the e-visas that are being issued or through an online portal will be available for all people in Afghanistan who wish to leave the country or would want to come to India. This will be a temporary visa that will be in fact given to anybody who applies on that portal. That's all that we have time for. Many thanks for joining us. We're taking a very quick break right now.